I'm Peter Sidwell and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to learn how to use this, a pasta machine. A few little tips for you. So before we start, basically you've got your G clamp here, which is what holds it down. Make sure that it's really secure before you start rolling through, because you really do need to run it through plenty of times. You don't want it wobbling about. If you can't get it to hold firm, put a tea towel underneath and then lock it down. Little tip for you there. Okay, and also never wash your pasta machine with water. If water gets inside it, it's going to end up going rusty and it won't work very well. What I always tend to do here at the cookery school is just brush it clean. Get rid of all the excess flour, give it a good brush and a wipe down, and then leave it. Make sure you've got the right place in your kitchen to lock it. So you've got this little hole here, you put that in, you've got a G clamp, and you need to lock it. Give yourself plenty of space. You want a good long runway, because once you start rolling the pasta through, it gets longer and longer, okay? So don't find a little corner to do it. Okay, let's make the pasta. Really, really simple. Rule of thumb, 100 grams of flour to 1 egg equals 1 adult portion of pasta, okay? Now, let's talk about flour. Now, not all of you will be able to get 00 pasta flour, which basically is an Italian durum wheat which has been milled twice, hence 00. Okay, but you can use bread flour to make pasta. You can't use plain flour or self-raising flour. It won't work. It hasn't got a high enough gluten content. So go for 00 pasta flour, because it is there in the supermarkets, and you can use it for bread making or pasta. And if you can't get pasta flour, make sure you use bread flour, because that will work really well. Take your flour, put it on the worktop, and then put a well in the middle. Crack your eggs in, and then using a fork, just whisk up your eggs. Then start to knead the dough. Really work it. It will start at first to be quite sort of gritty and not smooth, but if you just keep kneading it for 5 minutes without any extra flour, just keep working it, and eventually you will end up with a nice, smooth, stretchy ball of dough. Cover it in cling film, pop it in the fridge and let it rest for an hour. Wild garlic is bang in season at the moment, so if you're able to get out for a walk, go find some and pick some. It's absolutely delicious and it makes the most incredible pesto. And here's how you do it. First thing you need to do is get your pine nuts into a pestle and mortar and just crush them down. If you haven't got pine nuts, you could use walnuts, blanched almonds, or peeled hazelnuts. It doesn't really matter, you can use any of those. You can even use cashew nuts. Bash those down until they start to get nice and smooth. Add in 1 very small clove of garlic and some salt and crush those down as well. Then in with your wild garlic and use your pestle and mortar just to sort of break it all down. Now, if you haven't got a pestle and mortar, you'll have to chuck it all in the food processor or do it by hand. Final 2 things, add in some grated Parmesan cheese. Now, if you haven't got Parmesan or you can't get it, you want kind of like a mature cheddar or something like that. You want something sort of quite sharp. Grate that in, and then in with some extra virgin olive oil or rapeseed oil. You can use either. And then just grind that together to make a paste, and you're done. Now that your pasta has rested, it will be much easier to work with. So lock your pasta machine down with the G clamp, get your workspace ready, and we'll make some pasta. Once you've removed the pasta dough from the fridge, cut it into 4 portions, and then do a portion at a time, because otherwise you'll end up with like 10 foot of pasta and it's really hard to manage. First thing you want to do is set your pasta machine to number 1. So you just pull the side wheel out and turn it to number 1 and then let it lock back in. So we're going to run the pasta through the pasta machine, okay? When it's come through, fold it over in half, and on the folded side, push that back into the pasta machine and roll it through again. I want you to do this 10 times, okay? Because what this does is it conditions the dough ready for the stretch. If you don't do this 10 times, it will tear when you start to reduce the rollers. So it is really important. Now it's time to change the setting. So change the setting to number 2, but do not fold the pasta this time. It goes straight through because we're going to try and stretch it out, okay? Change to number 3. do the same again, no folding, just straight through, and it'll become longer and longer. Take the setting up to number 6, okay, and it will be nice and long. Once your pasta's gone through the number 6 setting, you will have it nice and thin. Okay, now it's time to cut the pasta. Now with this machine from Kitchencraft, you get the cutter with it, okay? So you've got tagliatelle here, which is the sort of centimetre ribbons which we're going to use today, but you can also make linguine or spaghettini, or spaghetti really, on this one. It comes through really fine, and all it does is it just locks on to this side here. Dust it with a little bit of flour just so it doesn't stick together, and let it dry for a minute while you get a nice big pan of boiling water on the go. Add some salt to that boiling water. I was always taught it wants to be like seawater, that salty, but it's entirely up to you. Drop the pasta straight in. It's only going to take a minute to cook, so it's quick. While that's cooking, get a nice big non-stick frying pan. I'm using Masterclass cast aluminium because they're super non-stick, they work on induction, and they go in the dishwasher. They're brilliant. In with your pesto, and then just nick a little bit of the cooking water with a ladle and add it to the pesto just to kind of loosen it out and turn it into a sauce rather than a paste. Then lift the pasta out into a bowl, and then from the bowl transfer into the frying pan. Stir it all together, and that's it, you're done. Serve the pasta up, finish with a little bit of parmesan, and you have got a beautiful, delicious pasta dish, all made at home, really easy. If you want the recipe for this, go to kitchencraft.co.uk.